in. All right, welcome. Welcome. We're gonna give it a couple more minutes to let some more people log on. I think we got the live on Facebook going. And yeah, so we should be getting going in a couple of minutes. Oops, a couple more people registered, and I'm going to send them the info. So excuse me while I conduct some business here. But I think we're going to have a really great session today. We got Sam Stevquoah. I'm pronouncing your name correctly, right?
Very, very close. Yeah, Stevquoah.
Stevquoah.
Yep, there you go.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to have a great session, and people are going to be very excited about the work that they see today. Just getting some last minute people in. All right. All right. Okay, welcome everybody. Hey Reggie, how you doing? Chris, Rennie,
Hey.
what's up guys?
Hi, how you doing?
Happy to have you here. There's a few more people coming in. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Comics in Color, Volume 27. This is going to be a good one. All right, we're going to give it probably about 3 more minutes for people to come in, and then we'll get started.
You can mute.
Yeah, I feel free to talk amongst yourselves in the meantime. I see Thaddeus is here, and we're in Black Joy Day today. And if you want to, hey, Thaddeus, do you want to give a little intro to what Black Joy Day is all about while we're waiting?
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Not to put you on the spot, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been black joying all day since 3 o'clock. So
I've been watching.
Thanks. Yeah, so Black Joy Day is, first I want to say thanks for inviting me in. I'm looking to learn. I live in Lowell, so I was looking at the brothers' work. So, I'm right off of Bridge Street. So, I'm looking forward to hearing what he's doing and how I can help and participate. But Black Joy Day is really, I'm doing this project. I started this project several months ago around Black Joy. Then COVID hit. And so we kicked it off with just it's really about how do you create a space for Black folks to express and embrace joy. And for others to be part of that. And so we opened at the MFA with about 300 people, had one of the few Black Navy SEALs, international author, some music, some other components. And I'm also a photographer. And so it was really connecting through that. Then COVID hit and we were all home, so that's pandemic 1. Then George Floyd created pandemic 2, right? So we know it's always been there. So it's nothing, it's just got exposed and everything that happened. And so for me, I got tired of seeing Black men being beat and brutalized and murdered on the television and everything in the news being about the deficit of Black folks right? I pull up the Globe, and it's about how we're doing worse and we're being traumatized by COVID, how we're A, B, or C. And I feel like that we were born with a seed of joy. A seed of joy was implanted in us before we were actually exited out of the womb, that we needed to tap into that. And for me, that's not about a religious component. That's just about who we are as a people and where our resilience is built. So I talked to uh, one of the Julia, one of the city councilors at large. I shot her a text and said, "Hey, can we make September 12th Black Joy Day and create several Black Joy experiences?" And within 5 minutes, she was back at me, and then within 20 minutes, her staff worked on the proclamation, and so we now have a proclamation that declared the city of Boston Black Joy Day. And so we did a sunrise uh, gathering where we did a Tai Chi Qigong uh, at 6:30 for a half an hour, having a Black Master Grandmaster practitioner teach that. We did some gospel and spoken word and dance and other components out in the park, socially distanced, but together, because physical distance is a different thing, right, than the social distance. And so, really gathering our energy. We did a Black men's conversation about joy, trauma, and pain. We had some international authors and speakers. I just got off a Black Day performance where we had some multiple poets and others. We included this into it, so I'm ready to do a watch party because I see it's on Facebook Live, and
Yes.
never stream that out. Just getting out and really embracing the aspect of our blackness, authentic blackness, and being unapologetically Black. And because we were born with joy, so it's not anything that they didn't give it to us, so nobody can steal it. And so that's really about making this day all about our joy and who we are. And so after this, I've got a couple more events, but my joy is going to be with my family. It's going to be eating some of that soul food that I've been on this diet, haven't been able to eat. The day going to be my cheat day.
Nice.
And just really, I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing and learning from this group because just seeing some of my man's work, I've seen some of it that they talked about in the Lowell Sun. That was amazing, and I'm looking forward. I went on the website and saw a little bit. I'm looking forward to the animation. You know what I mean? So that my 3-year-old grandson that goes across that bridge when he drives across and sits in that back seat can have a different thought process about what he sees when we start to think about Lowell and others. So again, thank you, brothers and sisters, for giving me a moment to just say hello. And I look forward to learning and listening to this conversation. And as my man said, get a little bit of my nerd on.
There you
Right.
go. Well, you are in the right place for that, for sure. And I just think what you're doing is so important. Like there's just so much negativity out here right now, and it's important for us to focus on our joy and all the blessings that we have, you know, as well. I mean, the fight continues, but we
Yeah.
got to stop and take a moment for that joy.
Nah. Thank you, brother.
Yes, thank you. So I just want to welcome everybody to Comics in Color Volume 27. I think we're going to have a great one today. Um, Comics in Color is partnering with Ladies Con on this one to get a little more reach. We've got a couple events coming up that I want to highlight. We have, let me share my screen real quick. So our next session is going to be Volume 28 is happening on October 10th, and that's going to be with
Comics in Color Volume 27.
Okay, I'm hearing, sorry, a feedback.
That was me doing the watch. I just turned in the volume.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Cool. Well, so on October 10th, same time, same channel, we're going to be featuring Demetrius and Bryce Bullock, who are a father-son team who put out Daddy Longlegs and Inchworm. I've met them several times at some cons, They are really cool guys, very talented, and they actually dress up as these characters, which is super cool. And it's a really fun comic written by, and I think Bryce started writing it when he was like 9 years old. So that's pretty amazing. And then, okay, come on. And then I'm also putting together a panel at MICE, Black Imagination. So it's the Black experience of growing up, living and surviving in this country is different from any other group of people. How does that influence our take on fantasy and our vision of the future? And we're gonna have some really great panelists on this one, Greg Anderson Elise, TJ Sanders, Steens, and our own Barrington Edwards. So I think that's gonna be really amazing. And that's October 24th at 4 p.m. And it's gonna be, you can find it at miceexpo.org. So definitely check those out. And I'm also going to be hosting a draw off at the Boston Book Festival for illustrators. And so that should be interesting. And definitely check that one out. That one's on October 20th. I don't have any of the marketing materials for that yet, but it should be pretty fun. Also wanted to just do a couple of book recommendations for folks while you're, still on this pandemic. You need something to read. So the first one is Malika, Warrior Queen. This one is by, what's this guy's name? Roy Akupe. It's actually an amazing story about a warrior queen and her, fighting wars and ruling a country. Really amazing. Again, Malika. Here's one from someone who's going to be a panelist on the Black Imagination one. This is Isana the Were Spider, the Ballad of Rawhead and John Henry. So this is a series that he does about the son of Anansi, who is kind of a superhero kind of situation. But this is kind of a one-off book about him meeting John Henry, which is really a great book, great artwork. He's the writer on this one, and the artwork is by Walter Ostile. A really great book. And then in honor of Keith Knight's premiere of his series Woke on Hulu, which is, I've watched a couple of episodes. It was really, really funny and good. But this is some of his comics. It's a very, very funny read. He has political takes on things and uses himself as a subject, which I can endorse, and just a really funny book, and definitely check it out. But I see a question from Pata asking if MICE is going to be all virtual this year, and yes, it's going to be all virtual. It's going to be every weekend of October, and with different panels and workshops from people all over the place. I don't think that they put out the actual schedule yet, so knowing when ours is a little sneak preview, so you all can feel very special about that. But yeah, I think the schedule will be out next week sometime. But yeah, it's going to be all Thaddeus Mice's Mass Independent Comic Expo. It's been happening for about 10 years. It's one of the biggest independent comics expos in the country, second to only SPX, which is also happening this weekend virtually. But they've been putting together, Boston comic events for a while and been very supportive of comics in color as well. So definitely check them out. They do a really good job on that. So with that out of the way, I want to get right into the discussion. I know that there's a couple of people who have something to say about this. But so the question that we were talking about today is whether they should, after the death of Chadwick Boseman, should they recast Black Panther, or should they continue the story in another way? I think that, my own personal opinion is I think that they should continue with Shuri and just explore that storyline. I think that there's a lot more to tell in the Wakanda story. There's a lot of great Wakanda books out there, World of Wakanda and Black Panther and the Crew and all that stuff that kind of expands the reach of the story beyond what you saw in the movie. But yeah, so in my opinion, don't recast it. Just bring in Letitia Wright and have her do the Shuri character. and make her Black Panther as happens in the comics. So I'll open it up to anybody else who wants to give their opinion on this one.
First of all, I would say, like, when I first heard the news of Chadwick Boseman's passing, like, I legit was like losing my mind. I remember I was like, me and my girlfriend, we just moved into our newest apartment, and I was on my phone. I scrolled, and I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. I was just hysteric. And she was next to me, and she was just like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I just kept saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I eventually broke the news to her. And then, she, of course, like met me with the same type of action. But I mean, just first of all, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I don't think we can recast this role. I really don't think. It's a shame too, because T'Challa has so many great stories to tell that hasn't been touched yet. And I feel like I agree with you, Cagen. I feel like the best thing to do is just to kind of hand over it to Letitia Wright. I mean, especially with all the women empowerment and stuff like that going on right now in culture, I feel like it's just the perfect time to kind of pass that torch. And I think she will kill it too. It's just a shame that we can't see more of T'Challa's story. But in respects to Chadwick Boseman, in respects to what he did with that performance, I just think the best thing to do is to go with Shuri's stories.
Yes, and I think one thing to point out is that Black Panther was a heavily women-centered movie, even though the main character was Chadwick Boseman. I was watching the movie again recently, and he doesn't really have that many lines. Like he does an amazing performance with what he does, but the women, I think, take most of the momentum, push the momentum of the movie forward a lot.
And that's why I was thinking, like, if he is recast, it'll be a year and a half from now, maybe, and so I don't know how I feel about that, but sentimentally and financially, that might not be their best move. So I think that my only issue is that he's the only, there's 3 Black males in the whole Marvel thing, right? There's right, and only the other 2 are sidekicks.
Right.
So like my kids, we have a whole bunch of action figures. We have 5 from the film, and only 2 of them are men, right? Because the women, I always say all the time, it should have been called Black Women Holding It Down, guest starring Black Panther. Right? So like my daughter is nuts about Shuri. My nieces are, the girls, I'm a teacher, the girls at school. So I would be hesitant. I talked to my son and he's like, what? Because he's one of the 2 positive Black males that make it through the film. And right. So if he's gone, then that's a role model that Black boys don't have. You know what I'm saying? And we got, Photon's coming, Monica, Captain Marvel's friend's daughter, she's coming up. Yeah. Riri Williams is coming up. They need to make a film for Storm. So my thought is this, right? You have Shuri, right? Okay, hang on. I've been working on this.
I know you have.
I'm gonna break it down. So something people don't talk about. Okoye was in charge of Wakanda for 5 years. Okay, the royal family got snapped out. They were gone. Okay, so now let's say Shuri comes back, right? Okoye may not want to give up her power, and the people, a lot of them got killed when the Black Order came before Thanos, snapped them out. So they never came back. Why? Because the royal family brought outsiders into their country. So they may not want the royal family to come back. Okay, so now Shuri wants to challenge Okoye. She might have.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take, right?
Oh, I'm just getting warmed up. Okay, so Shuri and Okoye might have to fight. Only problem is with Shuri being the Black Panther, she's shown no hand-to-hand combat experience at all. So she needs someone to train her. She wants to stay in the royal family. She revives Killmonger because he's not dead. Okay, remember when whatchamacallit got shot and they put the thing in his spine to stabilize him? Black Panther said, maybe we can save you, right? So let's say we didn't see him die. We saw him cross his arms, but we don't know what he did to him, right? So she wakes him up. He trains her how to fight. He says, you know what? Out of respect for, I respect for the child that saved my life. My war against you guys is over, but I'm not going to stay here. Okay, that'd be too much of a change in character. So where does he go? Wakanda town. Remember the places that they bought up? Right? All those buildings, right? Shuri was supposed to be in charge of that, right? The CIA guy said Killmonger went to MIT. He's smart enough to run his own school. And he like wakes up and sees all the social unrest that's been going on while he's been out. He's seen George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all this stuff. And he's like, no, I got to go back home. I got to be the Black Panther there and use the Wakandan technology to protect my people there, right? So he opens up a school. He maybe has a martial arts class. He gets some genius Black kids to help him fight crime and cops, or one and the same, while he's doing that over there. Shuri has her story. She becomes the Black Panther, back home, and they team up to fight, I don't know, Namor or Craven or something like that. But that way, Shuri gets to level up, because we can't have a glass ceiling, Just because they were popular in the last film, that doesn't mean she can't do more, right? And then we have Killmonger being the Black Panther, because the only actor who could play the Black Panther and not cause a riot would be Michael B.
Ooh.
Then at the end of the film, at the end of the film, he shows up in the Black Panther in the black costume. You know what I mean? And they fight whoever. So that's how I see it.
Can I say something?
Of course. That's what we're here for.
You know what? I feel like, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I was also very shocked when I heard that. I told my girl I geeked out in agonizing pain about that, because I love that movie. I also feel that it was very woman-based, which is not a problem for me, because you don't see that a lot. But I think it was more so in the Infinity War, especially on the second part of the movie, where all the women came together and, But as far as recasting right now, I feel like Shuri should take over. I don't think they should recast him. It's just too soon. It was too soon. It's too soon for Hollywood to even be talking about it. But I mean, they have to make money somehow, so they're gonna want to talk about it, and they're gonna want to do something about it. But if there's already a natural order of how the storyline is supposed to go, as far as who takes over when Black Panther actually, I know the actor has passed away. The character actually hasn't passed away. So in theory, they could recast him. I hope they don't. Because I feel like some actors, when they pick a role like that, it suits them and they stick with it. And that role is they're kind of like, I know it's kind of sad to say it, but they're kind of pigeonholed in that role. But with him, I mean, he handled it well. I just think it's too soon to even talk about it. But if there was a route to go, I would go with Shuri on this one.
All right. Cool. And I see a comment from Gabriel here, and I'll get to you next, Jacob. Bringing back Killmonger would be an interesting move. Maybe take the drama of his death out in the movie, but at the same time, I love the redemption arc. Yes, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm listening to what everyone's saying, and I'm thinking about how everyone's feeling about the MCU, because the way, again, like everyone else here, I have no problem with women empowerment, and that doesn't exactly what I'm about to say, but the way they kind of played out Infinity Wars and Endgame, even though it was more women empowerment, it mostly just seemed like they were losing and redoing, like re-giving themselves a try. And it kind of messed the whole, I haven't read the comics. I've only heard some about the Infinity Wars, but to me, it kind of didn't exactly seem right. So I'm wondering if recasting is going to be a good idea, considering the past history and how fans are pretty much cheesed at the MCU now.
Agreed. A good point.
Wait, but we do see what happened to Killmonger, though.
I was gonna say he did die.
Yeah, you saw him take the sword out of his artery.
Yeah.
Well,
we didn't see his body get thrown into the sea. We didn't see it get burned. He could totally come back, because all we saw was T'Challa move his arms. We don't know what he did after that, and I think that might have been purposeful. It's totally possible he's still alive. You know what I mean? Until you see the body burn or the body thrown into the ocean, it's totally possible.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: they're not gonna throw him over, because they're not gonna play him like that, because he is a part of the royal family. They're not gonna do that to him. However, I feel it's really difficult to bring him back as a character if you do see that dagger pull out of him, even though you don't see the body. Because I mean, how would you do that?
I can answer that question.
All of the flowers are gone. Killmonger basically messed himself up when he gave the order to burn all those flowers. There was one left. Now, unless Shuri can extract that from his DNA somehow, or talk to whoever's taking over for Tony Stark to get some sort of nanotechnology going on, I don't see any possible way that he's coming back. Not to mention, needless to say, I don't know, wasn't he supposed to be playing Superman? Isn't he supposed to be playing Superman? What happened to that?
I think that was just a rumor.
Yeah,
actually, I think he wanted it, but I don't think that's something that has ever been confirmed by anyone. But let me just point out that in the comic, Killmonger is resurrected twice. Right? He not only dies once and comes back, he dies twice and comes back. He's resurrected by the sorceress, who they don't. She's not in the movie, but she plays heavily in the comic when he's in it. There's a sorceress who uses a special altar and brings him back to life more than once. So there's no. I mean, they could have ripped him up more, and he still could have come back using this magical method that they use in the comics.
Yeah, there's also those beads that they have, right? Because one thing that would do is, if he's Black Panther here, it would also address all the social unrest that's been going on now, right? That would be part of the film as well, where he's coming back here and joining the Black Lives Matter movement or something, right? That could be portrayed in the film as well.
But there's one question that really needs to be asked first before we even get into all of this theorizing, and that's whether or not the actor actually wants to play that role. Because he's already been in the Black Panther movie, and he's kind of been stomped on because of that. Because I feel like some of the fans don't like the character, because although he was in it, it caused a lot of drama, and drama is what keeps the movie going. But at the same time, it's like he was kind of like he was the antagonist in the movie. He was one of the main antagonists in the movie. So I mean, I don't know, to come back after it's like, I don't know.
I had an idea.
I feel like it's like the new actor that's taking over for Blade. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly. You went there.
Exactly what I'm talking about. I feel for the brother, but I don't think that role should be recast. I think they should do something else, honestly.
Well, with Blade, they also had a series that had the guy from Onyx.
Yeah, Blade
too.
Yeah, I saw some.
And I think, Chris, did you have something to say?
Yeah. If any of you know of it, but there was that one comic where Shuri did magic or something. I remember seeing that. I think that they could follow with that as a movie idea. I don't know. I saw it in one of those comic previews that they sell for free at a comic book store.
Yes. Oh, and I just want to mention before we continue that the Black Panther series is for free online on Comixology, and I've been reading up on some Black Panther stories, which has been pretty great. I don't really like online comics, but hey, you got to do what you got to do
to keep your sanity.
That's right. You got a lot of time to read.
So another idea I was just thinking of, and I'm surprised no one has mentioned it, is possibly doing a prequel. And instead of continuing, because it would be interesting to kind of go back in time and see how T'Challa grew up and stuff like that, since I don't think we've seen that in the movies. And Black Widow, for example, is a prequel, and I don't know if the MCU is thinking about doing anything else kind of like that. And then the other thing is just saying, and I'm not super familiar with the comics as much as I am with the movie, but I think it'd be awesome to have an animated series that is Black Panther. So yeah, but I don't know. Any ideas about what a prequel would look like for Black Panther? For those who might be more familiar with the comic.
I think if they do a prequel, I think it should be animated, because I mean, then that way they wouldn't have to worry about necessarily recasting him. They could. I mean, technology is so advanced now; they can take his voice and basically do whatever they want with it. So I mean, I think the animated series actually using him would be ideal. But of course, they're not going to do that.
I think that's the prequel idea. I hadn't really thought of that, but I think it's actually a really smart idea how they could pull that off, because then you can recast it without it being a problem. Just you got to find someone who kind of looks like Chadwick Boseman, who's a little bit younger, and yeah, the animated series. I think I can't imagine why they haven't invested in that yet. I mean, there was that BET series, Marvel Knights, which was amazing. It was very dark, but a really, really great series, a really great story. But I'm actually shocked that they haven't, put out a Black Panther animated series like on, a wide distributed one.
Wait, hang on. They did the Avengers did like Black Panther's Quest. It was like 10 to 15 episodes just focusing on him and Shuri and going to the past. And at the end, he wasn't the Black Panther anymore. Did anyone see that? Some of the episodes were good, like the Avengers were after him because they thought he killed Captain America or something. And then they were going to the past and finding Black Panthers from the past, going back to the first one. Yeah, it was called Panther's Quest.
What is
I
it
haven't
on?
seen that one.
Oh yeah, that one on Disney XD then went off air.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
That's it.
What streaming service is it on?
It should be on Disney Plus, right? On the Marvel shows, the Avengers shows, it should be on there because it was part of the Avengers series, but they called it Panther's Quest. There were like 10 to what? How many episodes were there, guys? There were a lot of them, right? Whatchamacallit was there? White Wolf was in it.
Oh yeah.
He was in there a lot. And so they went back to that part of it. I thought most of the episodes were good. Some of them I could take or leave, but it was really lengthy. They went in. Shuri was in everything.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'd never even heard of that.
Does anyone know if they started
That's super
any
cool.
shooting of Black Panther 2? Because I wouldn't put it past Disney to insert CG'd versions of him like they did with Carrie Fisher when she died as Princess Leia. Does anyone know?
Or Grand Moff Tarkin in was it Rogue One?
Yes, I believe so. But yeah,
Yeah, Rogue One.
I haven't heard about if they started shooting Black Panther 2 yet. Anybody?
As far as I know, they have not.
Like, it's before the whole Corona thing. I think it was supposed to come sometime around probably last February or sometime around this month, considering when Corona came around. But then Chadwick Boseman passed away, and it kind of sent the whole Black Panther series into a frenzy of sorts.
Right, and I think he was shooting Yasuke when he passed away. Like he was in a production.
Yeah, that's a shame, man.
Yeah, I know that. I was really looking forward to that, and he would have killed it.
Aren't they still trying to find an actress to play Storm for that? Did they already find someone?
I've heard a lot of people like my timelines constantly have people like, oh, the woman from American God should do it, and Angela Bassett. I even saw, so many people. Lots of theories, but I haven't heard anything like that's definite.
I'm just glad that they're not going to try doing what they did with Captain Marvel, because, like, again, I have no problem with the fact that it was women empowerment, but they changed it from a Black woman to a white woman, but it was said to be for women of color all around the world, and I didn't really understand that if they changed it from a woman of color to a white woman.
Well, there's been several Captain Marvels, one of whom was Monica Rambeau. She was Photon for a while, then she was Captain Marvel. But, why they do that, I don't know. I would love to see a Monica Rambeau movie. I really want to see, I was hoping for the Atlantis versus Wakanda storyline in Black Panther 2. Because I think that one's great, and I'd love to see someone play Namor because he's such a jerk. Interesting to have on screen, but I don't know. I would like to see them do more movies with a Black main character. Of course, I would. I think we all would. But I think that Black Panther proved that it's marketable, and I hope that they're going to be putting some of those in the schedule.
Yeah, Monica is going to be on those Disney Plus shows. Someone has already been cast as her because remember, Captain Marvel was 25 years ago, so she's an adult now, right? Yeah, kid. So she's going to be on those Disney shows. There's pictures of her circulating online for months, and then they're going to transfer her into the actual films. Right? But I think the time to make a Storm movie is been past. I mean, that's something they should do. I mean,
should have been the first movie they made, honestly.
Right? I mean, she should have had a movie a while ago when they were doing the X-Men Origins things. Should have been, then Storm. But I think if it came out now, it'll be better than it would have been. Because I'm sorry.
They did her so dirty in those X-Men films, though. Like between Halle Berry and the new young woman who's playing her, I think she's doing a great job. But like the storyline is ridiculous. I mean, I watched X-Men Apocalypse the other day. And I'm like, what is going on? How is she one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse? That movie made no sense. I mean, I enjoyed it if I pretended I never read an X-Men comic.
How do you guys feel about that? The fact that they like to switch up actors playing those kind of roles.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I mean,
like you say, it works when the character has multiple forms, but when it has one form only, just to say that it's for this type of people, but then change it so it's not that type of people, you kind of hit a wall at that point. You sound controversial, and then you kind of change the fun and storyline for the people who enjoyed the comics.
Are we talking about Sunspot right now? Is that what we're talking about?
No, yo, listen, man. We were having a good conversation. You had to go there.
Well, I'm kind of mad about that one. I like Sunspot.
For the past 20, 30 minutes now.
I'm vexed about that. I saw the trailers. I'm like, I don't see Sunspot. Like, they're like, that's him. I'm like, what? Man.
I'm sorry. I'm noobing out right now. Who's Sunspot?
Sunspot is so this is for the New Mutants movie that's coming out coming out soon. So they made Sunspot a light-skinned Brazilian person when in the comic he's always been like real brown-skinned and Afro-Latin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was just horribly insulting.
The Magic's gonna be in that.
What's that?
I thought the movie was out already.
Is it out already? I don't know.
Finally,
it might be on stream. I think it's on streaming services.
It's actually out in theaters and stuff.
Yeah, theaters.
Is it? Who's going to theaters?
Right.
I heard about this guy who ate his pants in the theaters once.
What's that? What'd you say, Jacob?
I'm probably not gonna be going back to theaters anytime soon because I heard that recently a guy caked his pants in the theater. Like he took a fat dump.
Oh,
I was just talking about COVID. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for putting that thought into all of our minds. People taking dumps in movie theaters.
I mean, it happens when you gotta go. You gotta go.
But that's how I feel about the whole Sunspot thing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of taking a dump in a movie.
That's how I feel about it. I mean, man, and also another character got kicked out. Karma is Vietnamese. Okay, she was one of the original 5, and they took her out and put a skinny blonde girl, Magic, who doesn't come into the series until 10 years after they start. Right. So there's an Asian person they took out, and there's a black person they took out. They're not getting any money from me.
When did Warlock come into the group?
Yeah, years later, like late 80s.
Yeah.
With Cypher. Yeah. Doug Lock when they merged. Yeah.
I'm all for the Saturday morning X-Men, the original one. So when I saw Warlock in there, I was like, who's that? And then I ended up finding out about the new mutant. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing him in the movie, but I'm still looking forward to it. But
yeah, the movie doesn't. I mean, it's the Demon Bear arc, but it just doesn't seem to have anything to do with the comic at all. Like there's some characters that parallel, but just like that first X-Men movie, which drove me absolutely insane because they had a team that never existed, right? They had Rogue as a little kid, Kitty Pryde wasn't there. It's just a very just go with what the comics wrote. Everybody already loves the comics, so why they feel the need to change these things up, I don't understand.
Too many hands in the soup. Too many hands, too many cooks in the soup.
That's right, and too many of them don't love or appreciate comics, I think. They're just in it for the money grab.
When they try to trust them with the comics, C4 to Endgame, they used 27 different comics in that movie, which kind of made the movie a whole disjointed mess. I feel like the only good part of the movie is when Captain America was holding Mjolnir. That was the only good part of the movie.
Well, at least the representing Captain Marvel didn't get their hands blown off in the first few seconds. So of the fight. Quasar broke out his wrist things. They're just oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. Ah, dang it, my hands are burned up, and then it's just crushed him, and I was just why?
So Reggie in the chat there said the director and writer didn't really care about making the movie. That's what happened with the Mario's Brother movie. Oh, bro. Oh,
Wow,
you brought up the
yeah.
Mario's Brother movie.
Mario.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, that hurts.
Who was in
I'm
that?
hoping the one that comes out like later, it gets better.
Are
I
they
heard
making
that
another one?
Yeah, I heard. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I think like
I think John Leguizamo and Bob Oden? Not Bob Odenkirk. Who was that? Who played Mario in that?
Albano, wasn't it?
Was it?
Wasn't it Captain Lou Albano, the wrestler? The wrestler, the guy used to have the rubber bands from his ears.
I don't think so. I want to say.
Because they did have a show also.
Oh.
Oh, the animated one?
No, Mario Brothers had a show.
Lou Albano did
Super
the
Mario
show.
Brothers
Yeah.
Super
A live action show.
Bob
Yeah,
Hoskins.
that one.
That's the name I was trying to remember. Thank you, Reggie. Bob Hoskins was Mario.
The guy from Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
Honestly, I would love it if they would recast him as that. That would be so meta.
Oh, yes.
Like the memes for it would be astronomical.
Oh, I'm sure. I am so sure.
It would have been enough themes to
I know we're on a specific topic here, but has anyone seen the newest Bill and Ted movie?
No.
Nope.
How is it?
It's good.
Is it?
I liked it.
I was a big fan of Bill and Ted back in the day.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Wait, it already came out?
Yeah, it's out.
So Pata said in the chat, what other Black characters do we think can carry a movie? And Reggie responded, Miles Morales, which he's already done, which I think is great. I think he did a really good job. But who else could carry a movie?
That's fine.
Any thoughts?
Because we have to have the actual character and the person who could play that character. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's like a double-edged sword. Because there's always Storm who's left, Miles Morales. I think we all agree we don't want Black Panther recast. It sounds like. At least not unless there's a prequel, which I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
to focus on his father. Amazing. You know, as the Black Panther, when his uncle went bad, why did he decide to leave and all that stuff like that?
Right.
Hot idea.
I like
or
that.
the first Black Panther?
Power Man.
That one would really sell.
Tape Deck said Power Man, so a Luke Cage movie.
Would it be the guy that played him on the Netflix series though?
No.
Doesn't have to be.
They're not gonna get him. I hate the fact that they have these shows on syndicated network television and they can't get these actors to cross over into Hollywood. Like The Flash, they should have kept Grant Gustin as the Flash for that movie. They should have, but
you're opening up a rabbit hole with the DC recasting, not connected to the television shows thing. It's
It just irks me. It irks me because I love those shows so much. I mean, and of course, when S.H.I.E.L.D. came off the air, I was heartbroken. But you know, what you gonna do? You got to find something else to fill that void.
Yeah, but then about the thing with Hollywood, like if they had started Hollywood at the beginning of the year, it wouldn't have lasted long because Hollywood's technically falling apart now.
Yeah, it's really falling apart.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how if it changes the way that movies are made or who's making the movies because of this slowdown. I mean, they can't do anything right now except do Zoom made movies, which I don't know. Haven't been working for me.
There's a show that's gonna come out that's supposed to be like over Zoom.
Right.
Honestly, I can picture them doing that. Like, we need to make money fast.
Who wants to watch a Zoom? We could be on our own Zoom meetings, right? Like, who wants to watch?
We can make our own show.
No, what if you're like watching a Zoom meeting, watching that movie that's like a Zoom meeting? When you're on a Zoom meeting, and in that Zoom meeting on the show, they're watching another Zoom meeting. Like,
oh my God.
I have another question.
Boring Inception.
Is Static Shock a part of the Marvel universe?
Well, that's an interesting question. It was DC, right? But they're also reviving Milestone, right? That just came out.
Yeah.
Those characters are going to be revised. So yeah, I mean, a Static Shock movie would be awesome. I don't trust DC with that because I think they're terrible at movies. But if they could make like a series about Static Shock, that would be cool.
I think they're better at animated series than they are with live action series.
Yes.
They're killing it on the animated series.
Agreed.
I don't know if you've
Not even
seen
an
the that one
Yes.
that just came out, that super dark Justice League
Apocalypse
movie.
War?
Apocalypse. Oh my
I
God.
needed counseling after that, man. I was like, dang.
No, for real.
That hurt my soul.
I did not expect it to go that dark.
Yeah.
I loved
The
it,
one-
but
The
jeez.
one on HBO Max,
No, it was a standalone release on digital Blu-ray.
Yeah, they did. They put it up on some streaming service recently. I don't remember which one it was. A buddy of mine just sent me a link a couple weeks before that and to download it, and I was just like, I watched a movie like that. Oh my God. So no spoilers, but Jesus.
Make sure you're in a really good mood before.
Right. And you have like some ice cream or something to eat afterwards.
Dark is the movie? Is it like reality ending dark, or is it just I will kill everyone then kill myself so there's no evidence left dark?
It's darker than your age range dark. That's how.
Yeah.
Although Jacob really likes Attack on Titan, so.
Okay, so he'll be good.
He's just gone straight psychotic.
It was a little over the top.
It was over the top.
I know it's over the top.
I've watched some very dark movies. I even read the old Umbrella Academy series, which is a lot of gore.
It's very dark.
Yeah. He's like, you have to chop off my arms and limbs if I want to tell you that recipe. And they actually go through with it.
Yeah, they softened it for TV a bit, which is saying something.
And
they have a much more diverse cast in that in the show, so I mean, it's better.
If any show shows like the slightest bit of hardcore emo, you know somebody's about to lose a limb. You know somebody's about to get decapitated. So just like, it's kind of easy to call it out nowadays. People are just, they're too happy when it comes to that stuff.
You know they're gonna put a tiny little microbe in their head, and you know they're gonna shove an Ant-Man into Thanos' ear and blow up.
Okay, well, on that note, as this discussion is getting a little dark, I have to take some responsibility for that. I'd like to move on and introduce our featured creator here today, Sam Stevquoah. Did I get it right this time?
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
He'll allow it.
I was close enough.
Sam is a comic book creator out of Lowell. His series, Mill City's Finest, is animated and in comic form.
Yes.
And I definitely recommend you'll all want to go check it out after you see this anyway, but definitely check out his work. And he's big upping Lowell and characters of color, and it's a very exciting stuff. So I'm just going to pass it over to Sam, and I'm going to give you the reins here.
Awesome.
All right, you're all set.
Should be able to share my screen here. Let's see.
Yep.
All right. Share. Awesome. Is everyone seeing my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. I'm just going to get it in the slideshow. Let's see. All right. Great. Yes. So first of all, thank you so much, Cagen, for having me. It's a pleasure being on the Boston Comics in Color discussion board here. Nice to meet all of you guys. It seemed like you guys have all known each other for quite some time. You guys were just all talking. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna listen. I'm not gonna say anything. Everyone's just talking. It was a great time. I'm very, very happy to be a part of this movement in this group. So yeah, let's talk about Mill City's Finest. But first, before we get into too much of it, these are our social network platforms. So if you don't know about us, or if you haven't followed us, definitely go ahead and follow us: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MCF Series. We have our official website, mcfseries.com. Definitely visit us. We have merchandise, comics. You can learn more about our characters and all of that there at Mill City's Finest, mcfseries.com. Okay. So yeah, this was a perfect time to really talk about Mill City's Finest, because I know that Cagen has described that the theme for this has really been about culture and diversity and just about people of color. So for Mill City's Finest, it has a lot of its background reflecting off my background. So I'm going to go a little bit into that as we continue to go throughout this presentation. All right, so what is this? What is Mill City's Finest? MCF is a new action comic book about a superhero living in Lowell, Massachusetts. So again, I know my brother Thaddeus, he's from Lowell, Massachusetts. So again, shout outs to you, man. it's always great to see like there's more people, you know, especially in Lowell, that are a person of color that are really into this kind of stuff. You know, I remember when I originally started this, I felt like so lonely being a creator, especially a creator that was a person of color. I felt like, you know, I was the only one out there because, you know, you see like all these greats who, you know, have created Batman and Superman, Spider-Man and all these other things. And, you know, they all, you know, tend to be white. And so I thought that it was a really, really marginalized group. And there wasn't like enough room for me to really be out there. But it's definitely a large population. As I continued to, you know, network and, you know, get my exposure out there, I found out there was a lot of people out there. So it's great to see you, man. Thank you so much for joining us. So again, I wanted to talk about the timeline in history with this. In 2017, that's when we launched our first animated trailer for Mill City's Finest. So it was only back in, I think, 2014 or so, that's when I got the team together and I really decided that I wanted to make this an animated series. I wanted to make my own story animated series. But as I went on and, you know, continued to go throughout this journey, I quickly realized that you need a lot of capital to do that. And it's really, really hard to do it on your own. So we since shifted to doing comics. But when we started off with this animated trailer, that's when it really hit me that we had something here. We had something really, really special here. And I'm going to be sharing that with you guys soon. So again, the setting for this, again, I really wanted to describe that Mill City's Finest reflected a lot of my background. You know, I was a native in Lowell, born and raised in Lowell, from immigrant parents. My parents were born and raised in Liberia, West Africa. And it was only when my mom was about 8 months pregnant with me, that's when she moved to Lowell and then she had me. So I was raised in Lowell. You know, all my culture and everything and the heritage that I learned from was from them. And you know, I was really raised in this American atmosphere, this American surroundings and that sort of thing. So I really wanted to center around this character, Momolu, and we're gonna get into him in a little bit about why he has this mixture of both American background and African background. But what I think that's really special about Lowell from some of you people that are not really from Lowell is that it's so much different from your traditional superhero setting. It was founded in the 1820s as a planned manufacturing center for textiles. So we see a lot of mills, we see a lot of suburban areas and that sort of thing. So I really wanted to make it different and I really wanted to explore that. And then you can see in the illustrations how we accomplished that goal as well. All right, so without any further ado, we're gonna go towards the trailer one, our first trailer, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it after. So.
I think you'll need to reshare and open up the YouTube page for us to see it.
Oh,
excuse me.
Did I lose you guys? All right, give me 1 second.
Well, we're still looking at the slideshow.
Okay, give me 1 second here.
I'm not sure if you'll need to do anything to
share screen. All right, I got it. Perfect. Are you guys seeing it now?
No, back to the slideshow. You guys choose the window that has like open YouTube in a separate window and then choose that window when you share it.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Good? All right, here we go. Let me just make the full screen here.
Hopefully the sound will work. I know that's going to be kind of funky.
Yeah. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Are we hearing sound?
Yeah. A little bit. There might be a setting on the sharing that you have to do to get the sound.
Share screen audio.
Oh, is there? Let's see here. I apologize for this. I'm really new to screen sharing.
We're all trying to figure this technology out.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. Remote learning is moments like this.
Oh yeah? Okay.
All right.
I don't think there's ever been a screen thing I've been on, a Zoom I've been on with a screen share that didn't have a little bit of a moment.
Let's go to audio settings here. Share screen side by side. If anyone knows how to add the audio, I'd be all ears.
I do. You need to
Yeah.
You need to stop screen sharing, and then when you click the screen share again, you know how it shows like all your windows and stuff,
Yeah.
or all your tabs.
Yep.
Down in one of yes, share computer audio.
Okay. Awesome.
Chris, we're gonna put you on staff.
Yeah. Chris, you're the
Yay.
man. Chris,
I'm getting
you're the
on
man.
staff.
All right, let's try this again.
Okay.
Good? All right. All right, I'm laughing because I saw you mean Pata?
Yeah.
I saw your reaction. You're like, oh man, that's it.
Yeah. More.
That's super dope, man. I really, really like that.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. So pretty much like once we finished that trailer, again, we launched it on Facebook video, and that's when we really got to know that we had something, because we received like over 150,000 views in like less than a month. Wow. And at first I just, I thought this was going to be like a local type of thing. I didn't really know. Sorry about that. So I didn't really know where it was going to go. But once we seen that critical reception, that's when I was like, okay, like we have something here. We can really move forward with something. And, this could be, the next big thing if we continue with it. So there was about like 10 or 12 of us that worked on the project, and that's what we made. So we were really happy that everyone really enjoyed it. It was such a big thing, such a big deal for us. So let me just jump back to the slide presentation. So again, let's talk about our character. First of all, can everyone still see my screen?
Yes, you're good.
Awesome. Let's talk about our main character. Our main character in Mill City's Finest is Andre Weah. He is a first-generation Liberian African-American. And our hero is Momolu. And that's the person that you saw facing against the fire-wielding or fire-bending, for some of you Avatar fanatics, villain in there. Now, what's special about Momolu is he wields the power of the spirit Momolu. I really wanted to go back towards a lot of Liberian heritage in their culture. And so what's prominent in Liberian culture is these masquerades. And these masquerades, they tend to come out because they're paired with different societies, and they tend to come out to dance, and they're really supposed to be these spiritual beings. So I really wanted to make my own fictional spiritual being. So I named him Momolu. And pretty much in the story of Mill City's Finest, we get to see a lot about his background and what influence he has on Andre Weah. Andre is someone that picks up the mantle of Momolu, but he isn't the first. And as we continue to go throughout this presentation, you'll get to see a little bit of why we decided to do that and who the first Momolu is. So with Flame Shot, I really wanted to, I was inspired, I'm sure a lot of you guys can already see it, but I was inspired a lot by Static Shock. She was such a big influence on me. When I first seen that cartoon come on Kids WB, I was like, wow, it was such a big blow to me, because I was like, that superhero looks like me. This is amazing type of thing. So I really wanted to put some kind of callback towards some Static Shock villains with our villain, Flame Shot. And he has this really buddy relationship with Momolu, which is not really receptive on Momolu's part, but he's a villain that's really like a pain in the side. And so he's the character that we decided to go with to really showcase in the trailer. All right, so now going on this slide, I noticed that when we started, like shortly after we did the trailer, there were a lot of people that were asking when are they going to be their episode, when's episodes going to come? Because we initially wanted to do this as a web series, but like I already mentioned before, capital was really hard because the whole team and I didn't want to just rush out and do an animated series that wasn't going to be the best that it could be. So we wanted to figure out a way to give people content faster. And so we decided to shift to a comics medium. And so when I was in the board with the rest of the writing team, I decided that I think it's best that we really focus on the culture. If the culture is gonna be like a foundation in this story, it needs to be something that people can really understand. And I want people to understand it at the ground level. So I decided with our first story, we're gonna take it back to Liberia, okay? Like I mentioned earlier, my parents, when they moved from Liberia, West Africa, my mom was 8 months pregnant with me. And so they moved from Liberia because they wanted to escape a civil war. I wanted this first story to be the foundation of it, that Andre's parents were trying to escape the civil war in Liberia, West Africa, to move to Mill City. And once they come to Mill City, that's when they give birth to Mill City's finest superhero, Momolu. So we at the end of around 2018, launched our first comic book, Expecting a Hero, issue 1. And over a span of a year and a half, we ended up doing a book signing for our first comic book, printed comic book, Expecting a Hero, Volume 1. So that includes issues 1, 2, and 3, which is all available on the mcfseries.com website where you can check it out and you can really enjoy. And that, again, just follows the story of a family escaping a civil war to move to Mill City. And so in these pages, these are taken straight from the book. I really wanted to showcase the culture and the living lifestyle and what this family had to go through with, losing their son to this angry warlord who was pretty much the leader of these group of child rebel soldiers. So it's a really nice story. I think that a lot of you guys will enjoy it. And again, it really shines on the backstory of who Momolu is, what society he is a part of, and how that then translates into Andre Weah and the story that is mainly Mill City's finest in Mill City. So with that being said, we're gonna jump to our next trailer. Just give me 1 second to get it started here.
Now that you're a pro at it.
Yeah, thanks to Chris. Thanks to Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
It's cool. That's the guy who taught me it.
Hey.
Screen sharing audio. You told me about the screen sharing audio.
All right, everyone can see my screen, correct?
Yep.
All right. Right, here we go. Oh.
Uh-oh.
One
Those
second.
internet problems.
Internet connectivity. Let's see. There we go.
catch me low, so leave me alone.
Yes, so that was pretty much our second trailer. Again, I wanted to show that transition from Liberia, West Africa to now Andre's story in Mill City. So as you can see a little bit towards the end of that trailer, we had like some hip hop music pretty much happening right there. Is I really wanted to showcase the tone change and it really centering on Andre, like having this be his story now. He's now taking the torch and he's now going to lead the audience through what Mill City's Finest is all about. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to reshare my screen again. So I'm going to share you some pages straight from, which is pretty much going to be our next comic book, Welcome to Mill City. And that's it right here. So again, for some of you people who are from Lowell and know of Lowell, I really wanted our audience to really be able to resonate with some of that. I really wanted Lowell to jump off the pages from the structure, from the diversity of people, from the landmarks, everything about the Lowell atmosphere to really jump out. So as you can see, the different Momolu style that Andre has here, and this taking place on a very popular landmark, a city hall, that we have our main character here, and other characters here, spread out across the pages. I really wanted this Lowell atmosphere to really, really, really shine. So we actually released this as a digital comic back in December. Our printed copy is going to be available sometime this fall. So I'm going to end up doing a Kickstarter campaign. So again, if you haven't joined our mailing list, make sure to join our mailing list by just visiting mcfseries.com or following us on our social network platform. So when we do launch with that, you'll be able to have updates and know everything that's happening regarding that. All right, so pretty much just jumping back to this slide here. So what is the mission? To encourage more diverse storytelling in literature and entertainment. We like young people of many nationalities to feel inspired by this story. We want them to all know that stories need to be told through the lens of characters from various ethnic backgrounds. I've already told you a little bit about what is the goal behind this. So after providing our audience with an abundance of content in comic books, we like to widen our reach and transition to a fully realized animated series on a suitable streaming platform. So again, we wanted to give our audience and our people, our supporters, content. That's why we ended up moving and shifting to this comic book medium. So that's why we're here. And since we've done that, it's been nothing but success and a lot of great critical and positive reception. So it's something that we're going to continue to do. I'm really looking forward to meeting and seeing so many new people and seeing all this great thing from what this content can provide. As you can see on this new slide right now, the achievements that we have has just been absolutely amazing. Just really boosting our social media platforms, to having so many different blog sites review us, like Geeks of Color. We're affiliated with Kugali. Kugali made us part of their comic club. I know some of you guys already mentioned us being featured on the Lowell Sun. So it's only up from here. So I definitely want to encourage you to be a part of this movement, be a part of this growing community. It's something that it's definitely really passionate to me about, and we're going to continue. So thank you so much, guys.
Awesome. Everything looks great, man. And I really like, you using your own story as kind of the basis of the story and building out a really kind of three-dimensional character, and big up in your town, which is always cool.
Yeah.
Lowell doesn't get a lot of love, but you're definitely giving some love. I wonder, I recently got something about Netflix program about them wanting more animated content from creators of color. Did you see anything about that?
No.
Okay, I will dig that up and get that to you, because I think you might want to look into that.
Yes, please, definitely.
Okay, I gotta mention this, Pata, on the chat, asking if there was a significant Black African population in Lowell, and how can you buy fufu in the store?
Well, I think there's a couple African stores in Lowell.
Thaddeus wrote something.
Yeah, I think there's one at
African Festival. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the African Festival is really big, where you can get like a lot of different African products. But I think there's Salima shop somewhere around Bridge Street where you can buy fufu and stuff like that. So definitely like hit up Google, type in like Salima shop. You can get the full address and where you can get all that stuff.
Nice, nice, nice. So I have a couple of questions. I had some prepared, but I wonder, can you tell us what Momalu's
Momolu. Yep.
Momalu,
Molu.
what is his power set? Like, I see that he could create shields in the trailer, but what is his power set exactly?
Yeah, so pretty much he has the power of the spirit Momolu. So I want to go into it, but not so much where I reveal spoilers, but I can talk about my inspiration from it. A lot of my inspiration where it was derived from was from African mythology and a mixture of some different Western mysticism. I was really passionate about magic and about spirituality. So there's a lot of different things that Momolu can do. If you realized in the trailer that pretty much his mask itself isn't physical, it's something that he can activate at will, pretty much he can just form it. And that's pretty much derived from his power exactly from the spirit Momolu. So there's a lot of things he can do, from the shields to forming his mask to forming energy blasts and all these crazy amount of things. But a lot of it will be explored throughout our arc in Welcome to Mill City.
Nice. You got to get the comic to find out the answer to that. Nice. I was wondering if you could run us through a little bit, because we're all about creators here at Comics in Color. So run me through like what the process is to create your animations, number one, and to create the comics as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing on the list is you got to have a script. So the script usually can take from a couple weeks to a month or so, depending on how well you want to refine it. So after you usually get the script, you start with your pre-production, and that entails like storyboarding, which is really like my favorite part in the whole production process. That's when pretty much they're all draft illustrations, they're all rough pencils where they can then be used to be like in an animatic, so they can be then put in motion. So then we can just add like audio, we can add maybe voiceovers, that sort of thing. So that's how people get to know how the motion is going to go. After that, we get the animation and the animation team involved, and then we get the coloring done, and then we go into post-production, which is pretty much the sound effects, any other effects, or any like the spicing the cherry on top, pretty much just refining it, just polishing it up. So for the trailer, it took us, I would say, from 3 to 4 months probably to really finalize it and get it completed. So it depends on your team. It depends on how well you can work together. I like to say pretty much that you really want to have a good chemistry with your team. Having a good chemistry is how the art can really shine. The production can move at a swift pace. You really want to make sure that you and your production team have a good rapport.
And so how many people on your team?
It depends on which project I'm going to be working on. For the trailer, we had about 10 to 12. For the comic, it's a lot less. We usually just need a writer, which is usually just myself, a penciler, inker, colorist. So it can anywhere be from like 3 or 4 people.
Okay. So do you do any of the artwork yourself? Do you storyboard or anything like that?
I don't. In college, I used to do a lot of my artwork, and that's when I learned to do a lot of art. And before then, I used to draw in notebooks and that sort of thing. But I've since then just really wanted to refine and hone my skills in writing itself, and just doing a lot of the marketing and the many hats that I have to wear in managing this project. So since then, I haven't really done much illustrations. I've just been leaving it to the people who really want to focus on that and who are the real big artists.
Yeah, and what the writing and the marketing and stuff is enough. That's a lot of work in and of itself. So I totally get that. I got a question from Nancy Smith here. Will there be a battle with Liberia warlords coming to America?
That is a great question. Definitely you want to check out Expecting a Hero Volume 1. It's on mcfseries.com. It showcases a lot of that, but that's a great question.
And I'd just like to point out Nancy's background too. She has the Welcome to Mill City background.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
This is dope. Okay, so Sandrea asks, I have an idea for a project that I've been drawing for years. Where do I start?
I would say you definitely want to.
Ahmad asked that question. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see him waving. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to find out and just really describe what your project is. I remember when I first started making Mill CD's Finest, I didn't really know what it was. I just kind of had a whole bunch of great different character personalities and descriptions and what I had in mind for powers. But you really want to focus on what the type of project it is, like what's the story about. And from there, that's an easy way to then just branch out. What I also feel like is best, and I ended up advising one of my peers on this as well, is starting off with a pitch Bible. I'm not really sure if you imagine it to be a comic book or an animated series or anything like that, but a pitch Bible is really going to be your foundation onto something that you can kind of go back to, so you're not just making up different things on the fly. It's something that can keep you, it's something that anchors you.
Can you explain a little bit what a pitch Bible is?
Absolutely. So your pitch Bible is pretty much something that, for a lack of better words, pitch to somebody that knows nothing about your story. It's almost like a book or a deck that you can leave on the desk and walk away, and they can pick it up and go through it themselves, and they'll know everything about your story without you being there. It can usually be about 10 or so pages or slides that describes your setting, your story. Another big important thing is like a log line, which is just explaining your story in just like one sentence, like really, really quick. Like if you wanted to pitch this to somebody in like an elevator, you want to just be quick on it. And for a while, I remember when I was doing Mill CD's Finest, I really couldn't get that log line done. That's something that was just so quick. I just really wanted to expand it and about so much different things about the story. But it's a good test for yourself if you really want to get that log line. And so once your pitch Bible is done, you're good. You should be able to create different stories from it. It's something that you can constantly go back to when you want to know about your characters, your setting, and your world.
Yes, thank you. And it's often the hardest thing to do is to take your project and smush it down into one sentence or the elevator pitch, because you got to get the important stuff in, but there's so much you want to say, especially when it's like a passion project like this. I know exactly what you're talking about. We got another question from Pata. I think you mentioned something about controlling the superpowered population in Lowell. Is there something in the city causing the increase in their population? Was the woman with the gun charged in policing them?
So this person was, I like that. I like when people are really invested in that. That's a great question. So pretty much the person with the gun is involved in this organization that's pretty much tasked to keep all these people with superpowers in control. They're pretty much like the police officers for people with superpowers. So that's as much as I can say about the character without going into spoilers, but pretty much she is a prominent character that she is. If you paid close attention, she did appear in the Welcome to Mill City trailer. She is involved in the Welcome to Mill City arc, and she is in the first issue in Welcome to Mill City. So she has a very, very important role. And yes, she is, tasked with keeping these people with superpowers in control. So yeah.
Nice. I like that storyline. From Nancy again, will there be any discussion about Marcus Garvey in Liberia with more of a positive and not the negative fail?
See, that's the thing about going too much into Liberia. I really wanted to just explore the Civil War mainly in Expecting a Hero Volume 1. And then I really wanted to focus more on Mill City and Lowell after that. However, a lot of Andre's background does tend to reflect back from Liberia. So we never know what can happen. We never know what kind of callbacks we can make to Liberia. We never know what kind of other stories we can kind of take and then kind of put Andre in trouble from Liberia stories and these type of things. So it's something that you definitely want to keep an eye out for.
Nice. Another question. So what has the pandemic or the political or social situation, how has that affected your work?
Oh man, so
Do you have
much.
anything?
I'm telling you, like so much, because after we had our book signing in early March, it was March 1st of this year.
I remember.
Amazing. It was an amazing turnout. So many people came out from Lowell and everything. It was held at the Mill 5 at Pop Culture, pretty much downtown Lowell, around that area. And it was like right before the pandemic hit. And we had so many things lined up. We had, of course, the comics in color in Boston, which I was really excited about. We had so many different conventions lined up for the rest of the year, and then boom, COVID happened, and it was just very, very frustrating because I had a lot of different plannings. A lot of different capital was invested to all these different events. I'm sure Cagen can talk about that as well. But it affected me a lot on that aspect. But I mean, of course, this is life. We have to adapt. And here we are now in a virtual session. Who would have thought that we would be here? This would be our convention. This would be our space. But it's affected that. It's affected a lot of mailing and shipments. A lot of people who have bought stuff from the website have been seeing like delays in shipments and that sort of thing. So it's affected a lot, but we're still moving, we're still going. We're happy to be here. So all we can do is adapt.
Do you think that it'll come into your storylines at all?
Absolutely. I mean, I like to say that this is like a modern telling of a superhero living in Lowell. So a lot of the different things that people would be affected by, I want to see stories translate into that as well. So it's just something that people have to keep an eye out for. Absolutely.
Awesome. So here's a question that came from our last panel that Barbara was on with me. What can we do to make sure that diverse voices are represented in comics?
Support. That's it. I mean, just pretty much just keeping this circle. This virtual session that we're having right now is phenomenal. Just keeping these things up, keeping up creating these spaces where people of color can come and talk about their work. Supporting it if they're having a Kickstarter campaign, any type of crowdfunding campaign, a book signing, anything that you can do to support it. Even if it's not something that you can support monetarily, follow their social media platforms, like, comment on the post, word of mouth, talk to your friends and people that you know. All of those things mean the world, especially to me. Like whenever I see like a comment where someone's like, "Oh, this is so great. This is talking about Lowell, and I love that your superhero looks so different and unique." Just those comments mean the world. It keeps me personally going when I see those type of comments, because being a creator, every now and then you're gonna get discouraged. It's just how it is. But when you see that people are backing you and they're really proud of your work and they support it, it goes a long way. So just keeping that up.
Yes, indeed. It makes a huge difference to just know people are appreciating and seeing your work. It's such a great motivator. A little comment from Pata. Seems like the city is also a character in the story, which I think makes for a richer story. I agree. And the kind of you got into how Lowell was created, right? It's a mill city. It's a industrial city.
Right. I really wanted to showcase that. I feel like it would be a shame if I was talking about the story being Mill City's finest and Mill City if the city didn't look like that. I really wanted the city to jump off the pages for our audience. So I'm glad that people can see that. It means the world.
Yes, I love that. All right, cool. So you mentioned a little bit about your influences, that Static Shock was a big influence for you. What are some other influences that you have for your writing and or your comic work?
So recently I got into Avatar. So I've watched a couple episodes when it first aired, and then I slowly just stopped watching it. I don't know what got me out of it, but I stopped watching it. It was in the first 3 seasons. I stopped. And then I got into it again, and I finally finished it. Man, that show is absolutely amazing. And I remember when I first launched our trailer for the first trailer for Mill City's Finest, I had a lot of people telling me about Static Shock and about Avatar, which was strange because I never really watched all of Avatar. But I feel like now it's definitely an influence, especially with its strong background in spirituality and like the spirit world and everything like that. I feel like that's one is huge. There's a whole bunch of different influences as well that have piqued my interest. It's funny because I never was really into comics at first. Initially, I was mainly into like the animation side of things. I was mainly into the video games and the movies and that sort of thing, just the motion picture medium. But it's only because we decided to shift to doing comics to get our content out there that I really started to really embrace comic culture and everything like that. But I mean, Avatar right now is a big influence, like I already described. Static Shock too. I mean, I'm a big geek and nerd too. So I mean, like Spider-Man, Black Panther, all those guys, all those characters, man, are such a great influence too. So.
Absolutely. And you're right. So now is a really good time to be coming out with this content. You know what I mean? And I think it's rich, you know, a rich time for creators of color to bring their stories out. And I really want to see you take this animation all the way, right? I want to see, I mean, you maybe do a Kickstarter, get funded, maybe Netflix. I don't know, man. I think the story has so much potential, and I'd really like to see it taken to the level that you want to take it to, which I know is Avatar level.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one last question because we're got about 4 minutes left. Do you struggle with the American environment versus your Liberian upbringing?
Oh, no. Is the character going to struggle?
Oh, the character.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I feel like growing up, you know, me as a first generation African American, that's something that I did struggle with, because I would remember sometimes in school that some people would say that I have an accent. I'm like, what accent? I don't hear those accent, but it's from the accent from my parents, and it was just pretty much just how they would speak to me and everything like that. That I would pick up from that dialect, and then I would just translate it into how I would speak, but I wouldn't hear it when people would say that, and so just things like that, little things like that. I feel like Andre is definitely going to struggle with both his African background and his American surrounding, and pretty much what his heart is, because that's all he knows. And I think that's the core of what any first generation goes through. So that's something that Andre is definitely going to have to go through. There's definitely going to be some storylines revolving around that for sure.
Awesome. Well, I really want to thank you, Sam, for coming through and sharing your work with us. It's really amazing. I think you got you some new followers here today. So, and I encourage everybody to follow MCF Animation and the progression of his project here. And where can we find the printed versions? Because I really like print. Where can we find the printed versions of your comics?
Yeah, so all of our comics, all of our merchandise is available at mcfseries.com. www.mcfseries.com. You can follow us on our social network platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at MCF Series.
Have you tried to get it into any stores?
Yes, we actually have it in stores right now, locally right now, not for long, but locally at Command D, right off of Route 110 in Drake. And then we have it at Pop Cultured at the Mill 5 in downtown Lowell. But again, we're going to be launching Welcome to Mill City as a printed version coming very, very soon this fall. We're going to be doing a Kickstarter campaign for that. And my plan is right after that, it's to get it, you know, into stores nationwide, or at least Massachusetts, you know, in the state. But it will be available much more for people. So definitely, you know, follow us, join our mailing list so you know, don't miss an update.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for coming. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for Comics in Color. Remember, our next one is October 10th, where we'll be featuring Demetrius and Bryce Bullock, and they'll be talking about their series Inchworm, Daddy Longlegs and Inchworm. So that should be a really interesting conversation as well. And definitely join us for our panel at MICE, October 24th. Join us for the Boston Book Festival draw-off. We, you know, go to comicsincolor.org, where you can find a list of all these events that are coming up, and follow Sam and his project, and follow Comics in Color on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And thank you so much again for joining us, and have a great rest of the day and celebrate that Black joy, right? This is what we're all about.
Did you say the next Comics in Color was on October 10th?
October 10th, yeah, Saturday, October 10th.
That's 2 days after my birthday.
Hey, well, we'll have to do a happy birthday sing for you. That'll be horrible and embarrassing and wonderful. All right. Peace and love, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks. Flash is awesome.
Uh,